I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg.
And today we are reviewing Flamecraft Duals from Cardboard Alchemy.
We can't hold the box up.
We can't. We did it for the thumbnail, but then we had to put it down because this over here is the box as well as the board. This over here, speaking of which, this is a prototype. All rules and components have to change, and we'll have a link to the campaign, the crowdfunding campaign down below. So I'm a little thrown off by what's happening as we go.
I just wanted to show you guys how this all stores because it's really, really clever. I love it.
Prototype. Everything here is prototype, rules, components, all of that stuff. But with that said, this is Flamecraft Duals, a two-player pattern building game in the world of Flamecraft. We're going to teach you how to play by basically playing out a few rounds until at least one of us scores a card. You see, you start with these cards over here. You're going to go ahead and select first player. There's a way to do that. We're going to skip that for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a token from the bag. I got one of the cool ones. over here. You see, I'm going to take this token over here and I'm going to put it down somewhere on the board with the goal being trying to complete a goal. But you see, every dragon over here is going to have an ability on it. Before we talk about abilities, let's show you the fact that over here, I want to get something done. This is one of my cards. It's going to be worth 2 points, but I need to achieve that pattern on the board. Diamond, diamond, meat over here. That's going to be a little hard, but fortunately dragons have abilities. To that end, I can go ahead and place this dragon over here, and I'm going to use, I can actually do it over here. It's already over there. Let's do this one over here. So I'm going to do this one over here. I'm going to use a dual dragon. So this one's 2 colors, and I'm going to fire up an adjacent dragon. So I'm going to fire up this dragon, or should I go with that one? This is the safer bet. I'm going to go with this one over here. We're going to fire up that dragon, draw 3 from the bag, because this dragon's ability is drawing 3 from the bag and placing one of them, which I got. So I'm going to take this one, I'm going to place it over here, and now I can say, look, I've done this card. Basically, you place a dragon, you can choose to fire it up, and then you can complete any number of cards. Now, I could try to do this other card, but I can tell you right now that I can't do the other card, so I'm not going to do so. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. Meg, it's your turn, and I got 2 points.
Should I take a turn? I thought you said you were going to do it until he's...
I know.
And then you just did it right away. It didn't feel fair.
Exactly. You should take a turn, too. We'll do a few turns, and then we'll talk about other things.
No, I think I might be able to do it right away anyway, honestly.
Did I set you up for success?
Depending. Slightly set up.
There are 6 different abilities. We'll tell you all of them, how they work.
I can. So this one, which is the mining one, he can move to adjacent 1 space each. So I am going to simply place him here, and I'm going to move this here and then this here. And I have a diamond bread.
There you go. That's basically the game. There's a few other things to note. Let's go through the abilities. The bread dragon lets you play another dragon right away, so you get 2 turns kind of. Then we have the diamond dragon, lets you pull 3 and place 1, but the one you place you don't get to activate. The fire dragon over here is move an adjacent dragon to any space, so you can place it down and then pop it wherever you want on the board. You saw Meg do that dragon over there, the steel dragon. Then we have the purple dragon, lets you swap any 2 dragons anywhere on the board. And then lastly, we have the green dragon, lets you fire up an adjacent dragon. So you place it somewhere here, fire up the purple, and then swap 2 anywhere on the board. That's the basic idea as far as how these work. The other thing...
You did see us stacking them, but the highest you can stack is 3. So you are pretty limited that the board will start getting locked up a little bit, because you can only go so high.
Something that I frequently forget, by the way. Every time I play this game, I always try to place a 4th level one. Anyways, outside of that, the few other things to note is you can go ahead, you have 3 coins over here, they're worth a point at the end of the game, or alternatively, you can cash these in to draw 2 new cards, and then discard 2 cards, giving you a little choice, especially if you're stuck with a hand that doesn't seem to be working out. And then outside of that, you have the expansions. The expansions are going to be twofold.
Jeez, Alex, I wish there was a fancy way to play this game.
That was clever. That was clever. One of the expansions is Fancy Mode. Fancy Mode is going to have you taking from these cards over here a bunch of different cards, and you take 2 of them, and you can combine their abilities that will affect the general game state. My personal favorite combination so far is... Where's Buddy? Where's Buddy? Where's Buddy?
Keep going.
Where's Buddy? We got Todd, and Buddy. Todd and Buddy is my personal favorite combination. Just to give you an example of how some of these work, Todd lets each player begins with 3 cards, and then if each player's turn, they draw until they have 3. So you're playing with 3 cards instead of 2. Buddy is a token that once you place it out, it's wild. It can count for anything. And this combination, you can get into a nice arc of scoring all 3 of your cards in a single turn, which is very satisfying for both players at the table.
Especially when you place them 4 high.
Especially when you place them 4 high. So much easier. The other thing you can do is you have another expansion. I don't remember the name. Do you remember the name of the expansion?
Fountains.
Pillars? Fountains. You have this dragon over here, which is going to get in the way. Go ahead.
The art is actually all of the different fountains. It's pretty
That makes
cute,
sense.
like that they're all playing in them.
You're going to have the dragon, which gets in the way of other players, but you are trying to achieve these 4 of a kind. Once you get 4 in a row, you get that card. These are off to the side, so the extra cards you can score, and then you get to put this and move it around the board, which will block other players and yourself. Kind of gets in the way, but it does give you these extra cards you can score. And then lastly, there's a solo mode. How's the solo mode, Meg?
There is a solo mode. Should I say how it is or how it behaves?
I guess let's talk about how it behaves. We'll do the how it is soon. How does it behave?
So there's this is normally a 2-player game, but there is also a solo mode. And when you do play the solo mode, you cannot play with the fancy mode, but you have to play with the fountains. That's how you start blocking off areas for yourself. So you start off with it in the center, and then you can move it around. I have to say I played it a couple times, but I did not always remember. So when you're doing that, you're fulfilling these cards, and when you do that, you can move the fountain around to put other ones back into the bag.
Yep.
And I think that with a few more tries, I would be a lot more clever at it. So I think it is fun and engaging, and I do like that it's kind of like a puzzle that. So basically, you have to. Sorry.
I love how you asked
I'm
me
doing this
to
so
define.
wrong.
Do you want me to tell you
How does
how
it
it is, or how does it play? And you're doing both.
You guys are new to this. So basically, what you do is you have 2 goals. And you have to complete a goal every single turn. And if you don't, you can pay a coin, but you only have 3 coins, and you have to do one every single turn. But the point is that you have to get through all 6 fountains before you run out of cards or tokens or coins. So you're trying to get through all the fountains, which are always 4 in a row of a single color. So it is pretty tricky. But I did enjoy that for the solo mode, you're planning ahead that you know all 6 colors are coming out. So as you start accomplishing them, you can start planning for the colors that haven't come out yet and like line it up for yourself. So I did really enjoy the puzzle aspect to the solo mode. Now I'm getting to how I liked it. Oops.
Let's talk about how we like the game. How do you like Flamecraft, Meg?
In general, Flamecraft Duals.
Flamecraft Duals. Thank you. Good clarification.
In general, and well, again, I'll talk solo in a minute. In general, I do think that it's very engaging and very fun. I think that it's very quick, which I really enjoy. I love the little box and how it all fits inside. It's always beautiful to look at. Even all these different cards that you're trying to accomplish, they're really, really beautiful. You guys, I've lost all
I like
completely.
Flamecraft Duels a lot. Flamecraft Duels is a very simple game that it's very easy to play, but it's surprisingly engaging as far as setting up your little patterns. Very often, a turn is pretty straightforward in the sense that you do what makes sense on the cards, and then you call it, you score something or not. But there's a lot of turns where you're like, I know I can get both my cards. I know if I'm clever enough about how I can configure this. If I place this here and fire up that, and then move those 2 here. And then you get that way, and it's such a satisfying moment when you actually get it. So you combine very simple to learn game, a simple to play game, variable game modes, because the combinations of fancy dragons, picking any 2 of these and mixing them into your gameplay, gives you a lot of different ways to play, sometimes ways to spend coins. So overall, it's very simple to teach, to learn, variable in the gameplay, and gives you enough satisfying crunch that I like this a lot more than I thought I would, because it is on the simpler side, and yet it's very engaging. And then component-wise, like Meg was saying, everything's great component-wise, and this is a prototype.
These little chips are like so satisfying to hold.
Yeah. Overall, just a very satisfying experience as far as what it's trying to do. Really like it. But, wait, before I get to the but, do you have other things you like?
Yes, I'll finish. So about the solo mode and the things that I did like about it, I do really enjoy the planning aspect that I think it, again, with a lot of solo modes, it becomes a puzzle that you're trying to figure out and really, really plan out. But I also like that it's like something you're trying to escape or get through. You're working toward the challenge of getting through all of those 6 cards, and you're not trying to score, you're trying to accomplish something. And I enjoy that a lot more than games that just give you a solo mode version of, okay, I got 72 this time, what's the bracket and how well did I do?
I agree with that.
I really like that it feels like you're trying to get out of like a little puzzle.
Yeah. Which brings us to the but. As far as the but, I have a few things I don't like about the game, mostly coming down to just the luck factor of the way the game plays out. And that's going to come down to kind of the fact that there are just better dragons than other dragons. There's, a handful of these multicolor dragons. Picking one is just better. You have more choice. Do I have a choice as to who picks that? No. You might get most of these, some of these, all of these. These dragons over here, the green dragon and the bread dragon specifically, the plant dragon and the bread dragon, those I just find so much more powerful because when you get the bread dragon, you're just getting another turn. You didn't lose anything. There's no trade-off. It's take another one. Take another one. You have more control when you draw those, and the green often gives you that flexibility as well. And so I do find that as much as I enjoy the overall charm of the experience, it definitely feels like it kind of comes down to either the luck of the board state with the cards you have, the luck of the dragons you draw. It's not like a heavy strategy game. There's moments where you get to feel clever, and there's also a decent dose of luck mixed into it, which can certainly affect your overall experience as far as whether you're looking at it as more luck based or more strategy based.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, just to like jump off that point, for me, I didn't find the luck of the tiles that are drawn to be too different, or the abilities. So, just to say, like, for,
Sure.
a different feeling, I do think that, I agree that it can be frustrating, like, a turn or two, but I think over the course of the entire game, it seems pretty
Sure.
evenly paced. Just saying my side. But something that I did find is that I noticed a very big difference between players that have played it, maybe 10, 15 times, showing it to someone new. So I think that some of the abilities are very clever, and like you were saying, like the firing up the green one, you can actually chain it so that if you have like a bunch of green ones like in an area, you can reach another ability and still play that one. So there is a lot of strategy, and I think that is something that it is a lot tough to teach this to a new player when you're pretty experienced, and then just be like, do I pull punches, or do I find it's best that when showing this to show it to two new people, but...
The other thing I'll say as far as the expansions go, I love the fancy expansion. I didn't care super for the fountain expansion.
Okay.
I found blocking off the board, while it does make it a little harder to score things, just made the game a little less fun. So it might make it more strategic, but for me, the fountain expansion is not my go-to pick. Versus fancy, I'm playing with that every single time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And for the solo mode, the fountain, that's where I found I was messing up. So if you do end up playing this solo mode with the fountain, you can go on an area and put some of the tokens back into the bag. So in the solo mode you should, because you kind of need that to be able to have the economy to get through that many fountains. But that was something that I just wasn't doing well enough.
Yeah. As far as final thoughts, you ready for final thoughts?
Yes.
Final thoughts wise, what are you coming in out of this one?
I'm rating this at a 4.0. I really, really enjoy this as a pick up and play. It's very clever. I think it's very, easy to reset, very accessible. I think that that's for the duels mode. I think for the solo mode, I did enjoy it, but I wouldn't get this as a solo game or anything like that. I think that it was satisfying a couple times, especially learning it if you're someone that plays the solo mode to learn a game, but for the duels... It was very enjoyable.
For me, I'm coming in at a 4.0 as well. And I debate on this one because I do think it's a little lighter. Like, overall, at least for me, I find this to be a lighter experience that feels a little less,
right way.
little less strategically driven than what I would want out of it. But I've had so much fun playing this. Like, I've played this like 10 plus times since getting it. It's just been one of those games that's easy to sit down, play, and combine the various fancy modes. So I found this engaging enough that, at least from a fun factor point alone, I'm coming in at a 4.0. As far as other game recommendations, for me, I'm going to recommend checking out Bullet. Bullet is a very different game as far as what you're doing, but if you like that pattern matching idea, that pulling tokens in the bag, trying to set off certain things, if you want to take that general pattern matching to a game that has a lot more going on for it in both solo and competitive play, check out Bullet from Level 99 Games.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to recommend Harmonies. I'm sure a lot of you have already played or, at least heard of Harmonies anyway, but again, it's going to be like this pattern matching that you're trying to do, but you're doing it all on your own boards. So where you're kind of competitively drafting, you're at least, in your own little puzzle, if that's something that you would prefer, and it plays at a higher player count. So,
in any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg.
And I hope you have a good one.
Bye.